Okay. This will be recorded too and posted on the website. So if you miss any information, you will be able to go back to it. So SAT Parent Information Night is really to give you a little bit of an overview of what the SAT is, sort of the process that students have gone through, and then to review sort of how we're going to help the students improve their scores. So this will be like the agenda. We'll go through these, and then at the end, we'll have a question and answer session. So hopefully you guys will have some questions you can either put in the chat, or you can just turn the mics on and ask the questions that way. So for what we have at Ridgewood is the SAT Suite. So the students can take the SAT 8-9. They'll take the PSAT 10 and the PSAT, which they actually took at the end of October. So all the students have somewhat of a score already. And then we have our final SAT, which is going to be in April. A little bit about how the SATs are scored. We used the ACT for so long that we switched the SAT about a month ago, or not, about 3-4 years ago. This Illinois switched to SAT. So a little bit about how the scores work. We'll talk about those as well, and how you got the PSAT, which then transfers to the SAT. You can sort of see how you expect the scores and the range of the scores to go up every year. And really you got your benchmark is around a 500, right in the middle there is sort of like the middle area. And we'll talk a little bit about the scores and how they relate to the SAT. So if you remember, probably like when I was in high school going to college, I took the SAT, and a lot of colleges, some of the higher colleges, you need probably upper 20s or better. You can sort of see how those scores transfer over as far as what they are. So, so you can see in the past, a perfect ACT was a 36. Well, it would be a 1600 on the SAT. You can sort of see then how that sort of matches up if you're unfamiliar with SAT. A couple of years ago, this was pretty big. Now we're slowly starting to get used to SAT scores in Illinois. So all juniors, I shouldn't say all juniors, 95% of the juniors did take the PSAT in October, and they will have a report. All the students have a College Board account. So if your student's having trouble, if they say, hey, can you go into their College Board account to see what the PSAT scores were? And they say, oh, I don't have access. They actually do. It's through and it'll be through their school email. And if they're having trouble getting to it, they can reach out to their counselors, and their counselors can help them access this. On that, it will tell them their scores and how they rank. You can sort of see this would be a sample. Just give you an idea. If you scored a 960, that would be the 51st. So you're just about at that 50% percentile range. And it'll give you some sub scores as well. It'll actually tell you how you did on each question. And it really breaks down all the different components of the SAT, so the students actually know what areas they'd have to focus on if they'd like to improve their scores. Some students did take the PSAT 10, and that actually the PSAT 10 is a test that some sophomores will take, and it actually qualifies them for the national merit. So they do take that as sophomores, and then so the top 10% of sophomores, according to our GPA, and then all juniors take that test once again, and they took that this past October. A couple things about the tests, about their length, and this will sort of tell you how many questions are in each section along with that time. So it's roughly about 4 hours with the optional essay. And so on the testing day, it sort of tells you they'll have a reading test to start with, which is 52 questions, will take an hour and 5 minutes. They then have a writing and language test, which is 45 questions and it's 35 minutes. There's 2 math parts. There's one where they get to use a calculator, and there'll be 38 questions taking 55 minutes. and then they'll have a non-calculator part with 20 questions, and that's 25 minutes. And we do, and that the only time we really do the essay is an actual real SAT, which will be in April. So the students will have to write the essay, which is going to be 15 minutes. So that's how long it takes for the students to test. With the way we're working things at the high school, just because the check-in takes a little bit longer when the kids enter, we actually have thermal scanners now. So it's not what they used in the past. So it, so it's a lot more high tech. They're not just using that held hand anymore. So we actually have thermal scanners that the kids will come through, and then we'll have to ask them questions as well. And so because the process of entering, it'll probably take a little bit longer. We're going to have students with last names A through G arrive at 7:20. Students H through O will arrive at 7:30, and then P through Z will arrive at 7:40. This is a rough schedule of sort of how it's going to work with, sort of see a 1 o'clock dismissal. But in actuality, when all the students arrive, what we do is we send 48 students to each testing area. And the testing areas are like the gyms and the cafeteria. We can put kids, make sure we keep our social distancing. But as soon as those kids, what we do is, as soon as 48 kids get into that room, we then start that test. So that first group that arrives at 7:20, they might actually start at 7:40. So that way they get out a little bit sooner. And that goes on with each group. So really only this last group would probably start at 8. We're hoping these other two groups start a little bit earlier. Main reason for that is because we know the kids are going to want to eat lunch, and we don't want to keep them any longer. The kids can, we are not allowed to have kids bring drinks or food in there, but there's some kids that did bring in food and drinks, and they sort of set them, whenever testing it, they set them on a table, and we did not stop them from that, but we really aren't allowed to allow them to have food and drinks in that area. So one way that students can prepare for the SAT is there's actually get a personalized SAT practice through Khan Academy. So sample of this is what they do is they actually take that PSAT score, and you can link that website. So if the students go in and they go to the College Board site, they can actually link it to Khan Academy, and Khan Academy gives them like personalized lessons based on the questions they got right or wrong. And that's one way of doing it. Now, I noticed that for the advanced kids, this works really well. For the kids that score a little bit lower, sometimes it doesn't work so well. So Khan Academy can be complex. So some students love it, but other students get lost, as soon as they see it. And they don't necessarily tailor the level of complexity of the problems to each student. They will give some really complex problems that students that may have scored low on their test would have no, really they would not understand the questions at all in it. And so I feel like Khan Academy is good, but it's not necessarily for every student. But it has shown that the more time they spend on Khan Academy, the higher that their scores do increase. So when you go there, they do have full-length practice tests. They have video lessons. They have interactive problems with instant feedback. And there's also an app they can get where the students are doing a daily practice app. So, and they can, once again, that SAT and Khan Academy link up directly. So you have that. And we do ask all students that they, that they get this, they link this up, and that they do use that daily practice because it is beneficial. The studies that they've done on the Khan Academy have shown that, once again, you have that time frame because you're going to have time where students do grow. But if students that spend 60 hours on Khan Academy, they notice a 90-point increase in their test. Students that spend 20 hours, they notice a 115-point increase on their overall test. So it has been shown to be effective. And once again, the more practice hours logged in Khan Academy, it's directly linked to SAT score increase. And once again, there is that app, and that app allows them to do daily practice, and they, instant practice tests, so they get that immediate feedback. So now at the high school, we are doing SAT Prep 2. Now, some of the students that want more direct instruction, they can attend the SAT Prep after school. Now, we have two different areas they can attend. They do not have to attend both. They can sign up for just one or the other, but we just ask that they come on a regular basis, so that way we can see that increase. So we have our English Language Arts one, which is, I don't know, I think the initials got a little bit messed up there, but our ERW, they actually call that for the reading and writing with SAT. That's going to be Wednesday and Friday, and then the math prep will be Tuesday, Thursday. So once again, students don't have to necessarily sign up for both, but we ask if they sign up for one that they go on a regular basis. Because the Friday one, because it's a Friday, we realize students probably would not want to work until 4:15. So we actually used our last block of office hours on Friday to offer the ERW prep. So those are our hours. And then the SAT math will be 3:15 to 4:15 every day. We actually have 25 lessons that we're going to do with the scores. And the 25 lessons are to raise their math score, not their overall score, but just their math score by 100 points. Now, math score SAT is important for, and well, both these are important for placement in the dual credits their senior year, and also to make sure they don't have to, also for placing when they do go to college. Most colleges will use like an AccuPlacer or SATs to place students. And from what we've noticed, SAT scores are a little bit easier to place in the classes than AccuPlacer. So, so it's good to, the more you can raise your scores, the better you're going to be as far as when you go to college and placing in the classes as well. So that way you don't have to place into classes that are not credit bearing. They're just preparing you for credit bearing math classes or your English and writing classes. So that is pretty much all I have to offer. The one thing I did want to say is for the math, we will not be using Khan Academy. We actually purchased those SAT books that have 25 lessons, and the 25 lessons the students will be receiving are really based on how they score. It's like if you scored low on the test, well, then we want to work on the basic and just get all the basic ones right, and you're actually going to get a good math score. If you scored average, then we want to say, all right, we want to get all the intermediate and to advanced problems. We work on those. And then if you actually scored really well, then we're looking at just all the advanced problems and helping you improve that way. So we're trying to tailor, the prep to each of the students based on that. So that's just an overview of what the SAT prep is and how we are going to help students prepare for that. And the SAT prep will start next week, and we'll go to the week before spring break. So that way we can get through all the lessons there. So at this time, I'll open up for any questions. And once again, if you want, you could put the questions in the chat box or just ask them. So.
Hi, I'm actually Patrick Smorzynski's mom.
Okay.
And I have a question about an email I sent you to register him for SAT prep.
Yep.
Prep. So is it for math and English for both?
He's going to be signed up for he'll be signed up for the math one, which will meet on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And during that first meeting on Tuesday, they'll ask him if he wants to be in the English one as well. And then they'll pass that along. So
because so far what I know he might need also some help with English. So that's why I'm asking that question. Okay.
Yeah, so he'll be able to get both. So that, if he signs up, they'll attend that first Tuesday one, and we'll reach out, we'll get him the information, and then we'll get him the link for the English one, reading and writing as well. So.
Okay, thank you. And also I have a question about that PSAT score, because I was going on Skyward.
Yeah.
Skyline or Skyward?
Skyward. Yeah.
And there's nothing about PSAT from
PSAT?
Not yet. So do I go to a specific website, or I just have to wait for the results?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, you don't have it's I
saw the slide. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick should go to the College Board website So he goes to the College Board website and he can log in.
Okay.
And it'll show you his score.
Okay.
So have him log in and yeah, have him log in and it'll show the score. So that would be the best thing. That way you can see the breakdown and then you'll know if he needs prep in both areas or if he just needs prep in math or one or the other. Doesn't hurt to do prep in both, but
Yeah.
time,
Okay.
if he has time constraints and has to pick one or the other, then you can sort of know which one. But
Okay. The funny thing is because I'm learning, the whole SAT because originally I am from Poland, as you can hear. And so I'm learning the whole process. So I'm sure he knows about it, but, that's why I wanted to jump on the Zoom.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I don't have any questions for now.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So my parents gave me this link because they can't speak English as well as I can. I'm curious, since this is my first time getting this link, do we join on the same link like every time? Like, do we use the same link to join it for every meeting? Or
Yeah.
will there be different ones?
No, yeah, that'll be the same link. I don't know if you know Mr. Kumar. Mr. Kumar will be running the math one. I think Miss Rutherford is going to be running the English and writing.
And it would just be the same link the whole time.
Yeah, we'll set it up so it's the same link.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. All right. Okay, if that's all the questions, then hopefully we'll see Patrick and then see you again. See you next week at the prep. So
Have a good day.
all right.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.